From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good morning and welcome to our Saturday Showcase. I'm Kelsey Thorne. Here's what's coming up this hour. We begin this morning with a development in Walnut Creek. A new app is tracking tourism and bringing the city valuable new data on visitors. But are there privacy concerns? Then a Bayview boost, why the city's downtown is suddenly jumping again thanks to a revitalization program. But first to Menlo Park and a parking lot problem. Here's Max Darrow on some development debate.
When Margarita Mendez looks at this parking lot in downtown Menlo Park,
maybe my kids could afford to live here.
she sees possibility.
This is a large piece of land that would fit a lot of homes.
City leaders think so too. They're pushing forward with a plan to turn 3 city-owned downtown parking lots into developments with hundreds of units of affordable housing. Per state mandates, Menlo Park, one of the most affluent communities in the nation, is on the hook for nearly 3,000 units of housing by 2031. Mendez, a teacher and longtime resident, says this is long overdue.
People that work here should be able to live here, you know? I would qualify for that affordable housing. I have 33 years experience teaching, right? But I'm lucky. I already own a home.
So the concern here is...
But Alex Beltramo, another longtime resident and a leader of the group Save Downtown Menlo, says any location would be better than the proposed one.
You know, it's not opposing housing. We all recognize that we need it and we need affordable housing. And it'd be great for it to be near downtown, and there's lots of places that would make sense. But the worst place would be the downtown parking lots.
His reasoning comes from conversations with downtown business owners. 115 of them have signed on to a plea to the city council that's posted on the Save Downtown Menlo website.
Without that convenient parking, these businesses, most of them they won't survive. They will need to leave.
You lose businesses, it can take decades to get them back. You can't take away the buildings. You can't say this was a bad idea. It's irreversible.
Residents opposed to the idea have since sued the city and are beginning to collect signatures for a proposed ballot initiative that, if approved, would prohibit the city from converting the parking lots without voter approval.
So this is such an important decision that it should not be made by a 3-person majority of whatever city council happens to be in office. This decision needs to be made by the people of Menlo Park. So we want to help the city find other sites to put the housing that we need.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that every single time someone tries to build housing. It's the same lines.
Menlo Park housing advocates say the majority of the affordable housing that does exist is primarily concentrated in a historically redlined part of the city across 101. Mendez says more housing is needed throughout the city.
We absolutely need more housing in Menlo Park, and we need housing in all different affordability levels and all over town.
And she thinks the downtown parking lots make sense from both a fiscal and geographic perspective.
There's a lot of land here that the city owns, and the people from these homes could shop in these stores.
Despite the possible ballot measure and lawsuit, the city appears to be moving forward with the plan.
Okay, to the Bayview now, and businesses going from pop-up to permanent. Here's Kenny Choi.
There's no time to slow down for Kim Trung as soon as the doors open.
I got your food ready, okay? Let me go get you guys a rag for your table, okay? Give me 1 second. I'll be right with you, sir.
She and husband Jorge Islas opened Frank Grizzly's restaurant in the heart of the Bayview less than 2 years ago. It all began with a pop-up at the now closed Anchor Brewing Company.
And we did that pop-up and we had a line out the door, which was crazy. And we couldn't believe it. We're like, oh my God, this is actually happening.
Regulars say their cuisine, using locally sourced fresh ingredients, is generating plenty of buzz around the Bayview.
Love you, bro.
But it's not just the food, the energetic vibe throughout the day, and events they host like Beats and Eats, featuring live music and food at the restaurant, add to what has become a thriving hub of commerce and community.
This is like the heartbeat of San Francisco, like this community.
But all this wouldn't be what it is today if not for city-funded programs like the Bayview Maker's Kitchen, which Trung and Islas used to get their pop-up started. Their lease at 3rd and Bancroft is partly funded by the city. Diana Ponce de Leon works for the city of San Francisco and is director of community economic development.
The benefits to the community is now, right, it's more vibrant, it's more lively.
The Office of Employment and Workforce Development says between 2016 and 2024, there's been an investment of $8 million of public funding into 3rd Street.
The storefronts are more beautiful. It attracts people to the services that they need, as well as create this level of economic opportunity for the neighborhood.
Just down the street from Frank Grizzly's, Gumbo Social also opened its first permanent location, thanks to similar city-funded initiatives.
We are seeing more places pop up. You are seeing more places open.
Little by little, customers that we have to this day have been coming since the pop-up days, which ends up being really cool.
We wouldn't have been able to open a restaurant in San Francisco had it not been for EDOT and the Baby Maker's Kitchen.
They're helping to create a more vibrant community where they can work and spend time together with family and friends.
Had this space never opened up, I have no idea what would have happened, and it all just kind of worked out beautifully.
It's a win for small businesses and for the city, too.
Man, those tacos look good. Okay, well, now over to Walnut Creek. Here's Kevin Coe on a new tourism tracker.
Paramita is a Walnut Creek chef who ran a local restaurant.
I used to have a lot of tourists in my restaurant who visited, and they tracked it via OpenTable, TripAdvisor. It does generate quite an amount of revenue for the restaurants.
The question is, how does Walnut Creek attract more tourists to generate that revenue?
Being able to connect with them, that is the key to bring the travelers.
Walnut Creek's Chamber of Commerce seems to agree with Paramita. It's partnered with the travel data company Arrivalist to track and monitor tourists citywide. They shared details of the deal at Tuesday's City Council meeting.
We've got some new toys. So Arrivalist is a local intelligence program that tracks market trends and visitors' behavior, and visitor spend data we'll be having soon.
Some of that data is already available, including information from a basketball tournament at the Ultimate Fieldhouse.
As you can see, the majority of the overnight guests came from different places in California, but then Pennsylvania and Ohio. So we can pull all of that from Arrivalist. If you're in Walnut Creek for more than 2 hours, we will track. Okay. Yes. Well, Arrivalist will. Yeah, it's all very innocent.
So to be fair, they're absolutely right. I think their use of the data in this manner is benign, right? I mean, it's a useful thing.
Mike Katz-Lakabe is the director of research at Oakland Privacy. He's more worried about broader applications of the technology.
It's really upon who is using it and to what ends depends on how creepy it gets. In the same manner that they're doing it to track visitors for an event in the city of Walnut Creek, you could do that for who visits a police station during the day. Where do they go before and after they go to the police station?
So to get the specifics, we went to Chamber President Bob Linscheid.
Can you explain? So if I'm just in the city for 2 hours, I'm gonna be tracked?
So this device must be in Walnut Creek for at least 2 hours to be considered a visitor. That is included in visitation data we receive. We do not track all devices. Walnut Creek resident that's here for a protracted period of time, that's never come from outside, no. We're not interested in that data. We're only interested in visitors. People need to know that this is safe. It's not as though we're using the data for anything else other than to help us make marketing decisions on where we spend our money to market Walnut Creek.
Well, Zoe, whenever Kevin shot that package in Walnut Creek, it looked beautiful, and it's probably beautiful out there today.
I was going to say, it could have been literally any day this past week.
I got to go visit. I'll be one of the tourists. I'll test out the new data thing.
If you can't today, you should be able to tomorrow. If you can't tomorrow, you should be able to really over any of the next 7 days.
That's my motto.
Yeah. Well, just because the weather, these quiet weather conditions going to stick around. So the weather is not going to stop you, at least, from enjoying yourself outdoors today with a beautiful sunrise to kick off our morning. The fog might stop you from enjoying the beautiful sunrise, though. So let me show you on our time lapse. We're on top of Black Mountain, above all of that fog that most of us are dealing with, or most of us are not seeing a beautiful start to our day. So if you don't mind the fog, I would suggest enjoying yourself, but if you do, hey, stay in bed an extra couple minutes. I don't blame you. Temperatures right now are in the mid-50s across most of the Bay Area. In fact, 60 degrees right now in San Jose because there's a lot more of that fog that's kind of hugging you tight like a nice blanket. It's keeping you warm, especially compared to yesterday when you didn't see nearly as much fog. But either way, we are going to continue to see that thick layer of fog that's going to stick around at least throughout the earlier morning hours. I would say after about 9 or 10, most of the fog should begin to burn off, peel back. But you see it continues to fill in the entirety of the valleys across California. And here in the Bay Area, some of the thickest of that fog. But it's what we're used to this time of year. It's that June gloom, that typical weather pattern that we normally are seeing. Temperatures like I showed you, 50s. This is normal. This is seasonable. I'll let you know how long these typical June conditions will stick around for coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Zoe. Okay, well, coming up, problems at the parks, from underfunded to missing funds. Inside the fiscal issues for Bay Area parks. Next, stay with us. Welcome back. Now we turn to the park system in the South Bay. A lack of funding and a lack of help is having a dramatic impact on the park system. But first to San Francisco and a lack of trust. Here is Suji Nam on the Parks Alliance.
To give a sense of the breadth of our work.
More than a dozen community members showed up to the San Francisco City Hall Thursday morning to voice their disappointment and lack of trust in the San Francisco Parks Alliance. Ilda Gopalani, the executive director of Sutro Stewards, a nonprofit that maintains Mount Sutro, says she was fired from her job this week.
It's scary. We were all laid off as of Monday. So currently I'm scrambling as the executive director to find a new fiscal sponsor. And I'm working for free.
The SF Parks Alliance has been fiscally sponsoring groups like Sutro Stewards for nearly 2 decades. The Alliance helps fund communities to maintain public parks through money raised in part by these nonprofits' fundraisers.
So Sutro Stewards in particular had close to $200,000 in reserves that is now gone.
That $200,000, part of the $3.8 million allegedly misused by the Parks Alliance. In addition, the city is investigating allegations the Alliance failed to reimburse smaller nonprofits for their projects.
The Parks Alliance holds tens of thousands of dollars of ours, and including over $10,000 in money that we've either promised to other people or that we've spent already.
Matthew Blaine, the head of SF Urban Riders, says his community of biker volunteers works on trails and habitats. But with everything in limbo, their operations have come to a halt.
Right now, we need a structure so that the function that the Parks Alliance provided continues for us and other park partners.
They're calling on the city for help.
The city needs to step up because we are in a crisis that impacts every San Franciscan's quality of life.
This isn't the first red flag with the SF Parks Alliance. District 10 Supervisor Shaman Walton said the board had approved a $3.25 million grant for the Port of San Francisco and the Parks Alliance, but the port had received only $975,000 of those funds. Walton says this is about accountability.
Report to this committee, tell us where the resources are, how they were spent.
Walton is now calling for a subpoena to the 2 former CEOs of the Parks Alliance, as well as their board treasurer, to testify.
Don't have the answer in terms of how to get resources back into the hands of these nonprofits. And we still have to know what assets the Parks Alliance have, what resources they have on hand, what they're able to repay, and what they may not be able to repay.
While no meeting date set just yet, city leaders and community members hope to get more answers on where their money is and when they're getting it back.
To San Jose now, and a system under stress. Here's Kara St. Cyr on the underfunding of its parks.
So this is, we're sheet mulching here.
Allie can't remember a time when Solari Park in San Jose didn't have weeds.
This is another thing I do. Litter.
She's made it her mission to keep this park clean, but she and her group of volunteers can only do so much.
There's still so much to do.
They need regular maintenance staff to fill in the gaps, but that's something San Jose just doesn't have.
It just saddens me so much that it can't be taken care of in the way that it should be.
The San Jose Department of Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services is down 100 maintenance workers and is facing $500 million backlog in maintenance projects.
So as Ali has mentioned, you know, her and the volunteers that she works with help maintain a lot of these areas where you can see, you know, kind of overgrown with weeds.
Amanda Rodriguez, a spokesperson for the department, says a lack of funding is to blame.
Since 2003, our maintenance staffing has decreased by about 20%, while our developed park land has increased by 20%. So right there you can see that we just don't have enough people to do maintenance in parks.
The city's current budget spreads $65 million across 200 parks. Maintenance comes in at about $36 per capita, which is significantly less than other major California cities like San Francisco or San Diego.
We're doing everything that we can to stretch our resources. You know, we're working with volunteers, we're applying for grants, but the bottom line is it's just not enough.
Volunteers like Allie are happy to fill in the gaps, while Parks and Recs comes up with a game plan. She's rounded up a group of volunteers who work to improve the park. This picture shows one patch from 2023. With her help, it's now a garden.
We'll just keep trying to take care of our neighborhood.
A small effort with a big impact and a picture of what could be.
Still to come, is there an upside to rattlesnakes? The answer may surprise you. Stay with us. We're back in just 2 minutes.
And look at that fog blanketing the Santa Clara Valley. This is our view from on top of Black Mountain. I'll have more details on how long these foggy conditions will stick around for and what your full weekend is going to look like. All things coming up in just a bit.
Welcome back. Well, it's snake season, but for some Californians, that might actually be a good thing. Here's Brian Hackney.
Out beyond the highways of the western deserts, past the palm trees of Palm Springs, where the desert towns sprawl over the desert itself, snakes begin to emerge from their long winter's nap, and that gets residents very rattled.
This is a community that is really interested in wildlife and nature.
Mitch Spike heads up security for the residents out here.
They don't like killing animals, so I had to try to find an alternative.
Oh my God, I love him.
So Mitch engaged the expert.
Such a mellow species of snake. Hi, nice to see you too. My name's Emily, and I'm a biology professor at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where this June is my 20-year anniversary.
Today, she's got a classroom full of security guards.
You don't need to like rattlesnakes like I do, right? You were just saying rattlesnakes aren't your favorite, but we need to respect them, okay? And they're gonna be here, and they're gonna be here no matter what.
And when they are, the first people called are the guards.
And they need to learn how to safely move those rattlesnakes out of the way instead of killing them. It's an ethical thing to do.
That may have the nearby bighorns scratching their heads, but in a classroom at the Boyd Deep Canyon Reserve, these folks have signed up to learn how to safely snag a snake.
So I'm gonna get the snake out right now. We're just gonna get the snake out, and we're gonna catch that snake.
And listen to this. That's the actual snake rattling.
Handsome. So this is a nice, big, speckled rattlesnake. They get bigger than this, though. That was great.
It's one thing to get them out.
If the snake crawls towards you, please back away and stay about 10 feet away from the snake.
Oh, don't come after the cameraman.
Kind of support the body a little bit, like so, to help get him into the bucket like that.
Finesse is important. About 2,000 people a year are bitten by rattlesnakes.
This was a $600,000 medical bill to a Boy Scout that was bitten by a rattlesnake. A full $150,000 of that was for the anti-venom. Okay, are you ready? Who's ready?
That's why they need this training.
So I pick up the snake by mid-body, and I'm gonna put him into the bucket head first if I can't get him all the way in. Oh, he's gonna be a good training snake. Okay, so let's have some of the experienced folks go first. A great adjustment. So just kind of aim more up here, and then you'll get a mid-body. Nice job, you've got him right in a good spot. It is really funny looking back how you find yourself in this niche specialty of being a venomous snake specialist. Do your best to try to get him in there. They were such fascinating animals. Oh, great adjustment, nicely done. And also people have learned that these animals are really important for our ecosystem. They help control rodents, the mothers give birth to live babies, and when people learn all these things about them, they don't quite see them as vermin anymore, and they want to be able to relocate them. Unfortunately, snakes are really negatively portrayed in most places on TV and the internet. Hi, handsome. What I really wish people understood was that these are complicated, fascinating animals that do far more good for us than they do harm. Great adjustment. Like a pro. I love it. And that's what I'm trying to change their reputation.
One snake charming class
Snake pose. There we go.
at a time.
2, 3. All right.
Nicely done.
Good for those guys. Zoe, we were just talking. I don't know if I would be that good at snake wrangling.
I would love to try it. I don't think snakes are that scary. I know that's not a popular opinion here, but
if it bites me and it costs $150,000 for the antivenom, I'm scared of it.
I would not want that either, but I mean, they're just interesting. They're cool.
They're cool.
They're not slimy, which I appreciate. They're just kind of like scaly.
I like frogs, so
I don't like the slime. I don't like the...
To each their own.
To each their own. But either way, I hope you can all get outside, whether or not you're going to be finding some rattlesnakes out there. Be safe, whatever you're doing, because it is going to be a beautiful day and the weather is not going to cause any issues that will impact your safety, which is really, really great news. We're just looking at a little bit of fog that's filling in across most of the bay, especially down in our valley communities. The only place that saw a beautiful sunrise was on top of the Santa Clara, or on top of Black Mountain, places overlooking the Santa Clara Valley and on top of those highest peaks in the Bay Area. It's kind of fun that you can actually see the tops of the mountain peaks peeking up above the fog and the clouds early this morning. Lets you know it's also a very low-hanging marine layer that continues. As we step out this morning, it's going to persist throughout the later morning hours. Temperatures are pretty mild, though. They're sitting in the 50s all across the Bay Area, mid-50s for most of us, upper 50s down south, and then low 50s across our North Bay and closer to our coastal communities. Either way, it's very similar to what we woke up to yesterday at this time, as we are going to continue to see the cloud coverage from this morning taking a little bit longer to peel back. I would say about 10-11 is when most of us inland will begin to see some sunshine. Our coastal communities are likely going to be seeing a bit more of that fog and of that cloud coverage sticking around throughout this afternoon. So do keep that in mind. It's going to keep those temperatures a bit cooler as well. High temperatures are going to be sitting in the low 60s along our coastal communities, mid to upper 60s here in San Francisco, upper 70s for places across our North Bay communities, and mid 80s in our inland East Bay. A degree or two cooler than yesterday across the inland East Bay, but hey, it's still going to be really nice out there. Still can't complain about low 80s. That will continue into our Santa Clara Valley communities as well, maybe even upper 80s down near Morgan Hill. Overall, it's going to be a really, really nice day out there. So I hope everybody can get out and enjoy themselves. No matter what plans you have, sunglasses, sunscreen will be necessary, maybe unless you're heading on over to the beach, where we are again expecting to see a little bit more of that thick fog, thick marine layer. Not to see, you won't see a few peaks of sunshine, but it's kind of going to be those typical June gloom conditions. Tomorrow morning, waking up to very similar to what we're waking up to this morning, that thicker fog rolling into our valley communities, maybe even a little bit of coastal drizzle, especially as we step out in the later morning hours. That fog will once again peel back by tomorrow afternoon, but what you might notice tomorrow afternoon is a little bit of cloud coverage across our inland East Bay and North Bay communities, as there's some thunderstorms that will be developing over the Sierra. There's not going to be any thunderstorms heading our way, just a little bit of that cloud coverage. And then waking up early Monday morning, a little bit of that fog peeling back by Monday afternoon. That typical weather pattern is going to stick around. That sweet spot, early morning fog giving way to afternoon sunshine. Those onshore winds are actually going to be a little bit tamer today, although they were tamer yesterday. They're going to kind of continue to increase into tomorrow. But overall, nothing to write home about. There are no wind advisories. Wind gusts are going to stay below 35 miles an hour. But they are going to keep your temperatures moderate. Moderate temperatures, really not too many fluctuations on the way. They might get a bit cooler by early to mid next week across our inland East Bay communities, but a little bit cooler is just upper 70s instead of low 80s. Again, no dramatic changes on the way. No huge storm systems that are going to cool us down or bring us any chances for rain. Just that typical June gloom along the coast. So if you want to soak up some sunshine, I highly suggest heading farther inland. Back to you.
Thanks, Zoe. Okay, after the break, pinching pennies. What's behind the nonsense of some sense? That's next.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Welcome back. Well, now we are going to tackle some penny pinchers. In a moment, we'll meet some collectors making sense of a new government initiative. But first, Bay Area home prices just hit a 3-year high. Here's Max Darrow on a shrinking market.
For East Bay realtor Kevin Hom,
there's a seemingly never-ending list of tasks on his to-do list.
Give me directions to...
Which is the norm for a real estate professional working in the Bay Area.
I typically cover Berkeley down to Fremont.
On this day, visit 4 properties for buyers and sellers he's representing.
It is more of a buyer's market than it was a couple months ago.
According to the latest RE/MAX report, the median Bay Area home price has grown to $1.25 million, a 3-year high for the nation's most expensive real estate market. But inventory has also grown, and so has the amount of time that homes are sitting on the market.
Price spreads are higher, but there's less transactions going on in general. In Alameda County, months of inventory is hovering about 3 or 4 months. So we're used to seeing 1 or 2 months of inventory, as it has been for the last couple years, really.
Hom says many buyers are a bit gun-shy right now. Interest rates have held steady rather than declined, and there's been a lot of stock market volatility since the beginning of 2025.
Stock market is rebounding, but we're not seeing the buyer demand as high as it was before all of this happened, because there's just uncertainty in where people's livelihoods are and where their down payment funds are coming from.
We're definitely at a 3-year high in inventory.
Tim Yee, a broker with RE/MAX Gold Bay Area, says inventory is up everywhere in the Bay Area except San Francisco.
This is our buying season, so we would have expected to see more pending sales that we're not seeing.
The homes that are selling,
The ones in the higher price ranges where people actually aren't worried about the economy, aren't worried about their job. It's kind of crazy for a first-time home buyer.
whether with buyers or sellers, Hom is having to manage expectations. At his Fremont listing, he just dropped the asking price by $50,000.
When things have been sitting on the market for a little bit longer, a price drop is going to drive the interest back to that listing.
But it just depends on the property. At his Hayward listing,
this should go pretty quickly. We're listed for $998. We're hoping to get just a little bit more, but we're pretty transparent.
With regards to the interest rates, he's optimistic they will go down a bit this year. But he says even though they're still on the higher end.
If you're in a good financial position, you're going to get a better deal right now, even at a higher rate. And when rates do drop, because they will, at least that's where the analysts have kind of indicated, is that we're at least going to see one drop this year. It might be a good time to dive in, because when the rates do drop, you may be flooded with some more buyers that can all of a sudden afford more.
Though he says for buyers who are heavily leveraged as is, it might be best to stay on the sidelines for a little while longer.
Okay, here's a question. Will we miss the penny? Here's Kara St. Cyr on a community of penny pinchers.
This is just my change belt, so.
For Matt, dollars have never made sense.
For quarters and for pennies.
But his coins do, specifically the penny. He uses them to operate more than 50 penny pressing machines throughout the Bay Area, the most popular being right here on Pier 39.
But you put 2 quarters and a penny in there. And once this little wheel over here is about to hit this thing.
People pay 51 cents for this machine to press pictures of tourist attractions into stretched pennies.
It's going to drop the penny. There we go. Crab.
But soon, finding pennies to use might be more pressing than the machine. The U.S. Mint confirmed last week that they've ordered their last copper stock to make the U.S. penny. The copper coin costs more to make than it's actually worth. The U.S. spends about 4 cents for every penny, which is only valued at 1 cent. You do the math. The move is expected to save the U.S. $56 million a year, but it'll cost Matt dearly. He makes $10 to $15K on this business annually.
There you go. The other part of this whole thing, besides like the pennies, is the quarters. So like, it's a bigger conversation, but essentially, since people don't really use cash anymore, banks don't really feel obliged to offer those services anymore, like giving you large amounts of quarters or taking large amounts of change or cash. So you can no longer get large amounts of quarters from the bank, even if you're a business like Musée Mécanique right over here, or Free Gold Watch, or Detour on Market Street are all coin-op run arcades, and they can't just go to the bank and get quarters. So they come to me, because I have the quarters.
He says he plans to buy copper blanks to make up for pennies he'll lose.
If it was just for the money, I would not do it.
But business aside, moving away from the penny represents a break with tradition, something Matt doesn't know if he's ready to embrace yet.
These are like the last pennies ever, like new ones.
Penny production will stop in 2026, forever changing the landscape of the coin-operated world Matt loves. He'll keep using them until the coin falls out of circulation.
I think it's Alcatraz in the background.
For now, it just makes sense.
But
well, I know there was a lot of puns in that, which I love. Thanks, Suji. But you know, I am one of those people. If I see a penny press, I'm like, I will pay 51 cents for a penny that's now worth nothing. But
it's not worth nothing. It's priceless now.
You know. Correct.
Yes.
It's the memory that
exactly. Now it's so sentimental. You can never give it away, never sell. It's worth way more than a penny, I would say.
Yeah. It's like a Beanie Baby.
Yeah.
It's going to go up.
Oh, I love a good Beanie Baby. We'll have to have a conversation about that later. But either way, it's a beautiful start to our morning above that thick layer of fog and clouds that continues to make its way all across the bay, especially in our valley communities and the low-hanging areas. On top of Black Mountain, you can see a beautiful sunrise, but most of us are not dealing with those beautiful conditions. Most of us are dealing with the June gloom, the fog. So if you want to stay in bed an extra couple of minutes, I do not blame you early this morning. It's a mild start to our day, though. So if you are getting out and about, you don't necessarily need to bundle up too much. Dress in layers because it's going to be very similar today to what we felt yesterday. We're going to be seeing those high temperatures sitting very seasonable, within a degree or two of average for this time of year, which is great news for anybody that does have any of those outdoor plans today. If you enjoyed yesterday, you're going to enjoy it today as well once this fog begins to burn off, because again, we're still looking at some pretty thick fog all across the Bay Area right now. It's not going to take much longer than I would say about 10-11 for a majority of this activity to finally begin to peel back, and everybody inland should see more sunshine by this afternoon. I'll let you know how long these sunny skies will stick around for coming up in just a bit. Back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Zoe. Okay, coming up, it's Pride Month. 2 inspiring stories highlighting our LGBTQ community are next. We're back in just 2 minutes. The month of June is, of course, Pride Month, highlighting our vibrant LGBTQ community and celebrating its stories. In a moment, we'll show you some strength in numbers and some self-defense classes for the marginalized. But first, we take the drama out of debt. Here's Suji Nam in San Francisco.
I live in this kitchen. So I cook here, I do a lot of baking. It's really fun.
William Anthony moved into this apartment in San Francisco 2 years ago, and he loves it.
This is where I'll answer emails. I use my laptop to edit short films and school projects, also to get paperwork done for work.
He's a paraeducator for the San Francisco School District and is also studying cinema in college.
This is for Special Olympics. This is some of my students got these awards.
Anthony said, however, his journey getting here wasn't easy. After his brother passed away, he moved to Brazil to be with family. But with unforeseen circumstances, he accumulated debt. In hopes for a better future, he moved to San Francisco. But Anthony said, as a gay man with a disability, his housing search was a struggle.
Being profiled, having people automatically assume I'd be a nightmare tenant, having people just make assumptions about me.
But he found help.
Cool. Yeah.
Julia Parmer is the senior program manager for Abode, a housing nonprofit that serves low-income and unhoused families.
We got him plugged in with a service coordinator, case manager, and a housing specialist.
Anthony is one of more than 2,500 Abode clients receiving housing resources. But while he got the help, that's not the case for many others. The city faces a crisis with the unhoused in the LGBTQ+ community. According to the San Francisco 2024 homelessness point-in-time count, 28% of the more than 950 people surveyed in the homeless community identify as LGBTQ+. And the statistic is higher for the unhoused youth. 38% identified as LGBTQ+ and younger than 18 years old.
a landlord might just look at the application and say, forget it. And so that's sort of where we come in, is we build those partnerships with landlords out in the community so that we know who we can go to, and we sort of have a stock of housing.
But through programs like Abode, community members are helping more people like Anthony get the help they need.
They were a blessing. I feel like God sent them for me.
Abode helped pay off Anthony's debt and moved him into his apartment. That's now become a safe space where he shares many laughs with friends.
Don't let labels define you. We are so much more than whatever group society puts us in.
Anthony says he is grateful for the help and plans to pay it forward.
Now we're going to head over to Care St. Cyr and a community taking pride in its preparation.
Okay. Wait, can you do it one more time? Sorry.
Cal Lurchie is arming up and ready to fight back.
Okay, so 1, 2, and then push away.
Against an environment they say has become unsafe for people that are transgender.
There's always been violence against trans people. I think it's so important to be able to know peaceful self-defense. I'm not going to be out here punching people in the face, but I still want to be able to safely de-escalate someone in case of a crisis situation.
Eyes open.
Slurs and name-calling are just the tip of the iceberg. Cal says they've been chased with knives and had glass objects thrown at them just walking on the street. Moments where they felt defenseless.
This is why we train.
But not anymore. San Francisco's LGBTQ Center set up self-defense classes so people like Cal can defend themselves.
There's a real dire need for not only our community to feel safe, but within the queer community, trans folks are most being attacked during this time period. And within the loss of trans lives as a result of violence, we don't just want to empower trans people, we want to empower all of our community to feel safe.
A report from the California Justice Department shows that hate crimes dropped overall from 2022 to 2023, but crimes against LGBTQ members rose about 86%.
We need to empower community to feel safe in our own spaces, but also to feel affirmed in their existence.
Do you want me to do like the 5 in the row and then we'll switch? Okay.
This experience left Cal with a sense of strength, only reinforced by the community around them.
Being in a room full of other people who also want to learn and want to know how to defend themselves in case of some sort of violence that may come up, that feels comforting in a way in spite of the scary things.
They feel ready for a battle they'll hopefully never have to fight.
Taking a live look outside from on top of Mount Diablo, where you can see it's clear where the camera is, but it doesn't take far to look at the thick layer of fog and cloud, that marine coverage. And if we take you to San Francisco right now, we're under the clouds here, and most of the valley communities are also looking at this very similar start to the day. That's a dense layer of fog out there. How long is it going to stick around? And I'll let you know coming up.
Okay, Zoe, so we've been talking about the fog all morning. I know a lot of people move to San Francisco because they try to get away from the heat, get the fog. I'm happy for them, but I'm never a fan of it.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Before coming here, I always thought California, warm, summertime, sunshine.
That's how they trick you.
They trick you. Oh my goodness. I have never in my life had to wear a sweatshirt and a warm winter hat on my birthday, and my birthday is in August. And let me tell you, last year was so cold, and this year's probably the same.
Yeah, don't get me started. I'll talk for hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we'll talk about it later, but either way, it's gonna be those similar June conditions here in San Francisco. It's the typical June gloom this time of year. We're used to it. Inland areas, though, a lot more sunshine expected for you. This fog, though, is definitely thicker than yesterday. It's lower to the ground as well, and it might create a few visibility issues, kind of depending on where you are, especially closer to the coast, where there might even be a little bit of misty drizzle. It's not accumulating rain, but hey, we'll take whatever moisture we can get. Right now, temperatures are pretty comfortable, very similar to what we woke up to yesterday, in the mid-50s across most of the Bay Area, upper 50s south, low 50s north. But either way, it is within a degree or two of what we saw yesterday. By this afternoon, we are going to see those clouds continue to peel back, although it might take a little bit longer, maybe 10 or 11 a.m. for the full force of the sunshine to officially come out. That will allow our temperatures, especially inland, once again to warm up back to seasonable within a degree or two of normal, sitting in the mid to lower 80s down in the Santa Clara Valley and also mid 80s up in the inland East Bay communities. So that's a degree or two cooler than yesterday. Yesterday you were in the upper 80s, mid 80s today. It's probably not going to feel too much different though. Closer to the coast will be in the mid to lower 60s, and here in San Francisco, mid to upper 60s. Either way, it is very, very similar to what we've been feeling all week long. The bigger difference is that the fog might take a little bit longer this morning to burn off. So that's the biggest thing to keep in mind. Throughout tomorrow afternoon, we're going to continue to see those high temperatures staying very, very similar. But something that I want to point out to you is the impact of the onshore wind. This area that you see in lighter yellow, this is the onshore flow that's keeping those temperatures a bit cooler. So let's pull up California and kind of just show you how impactful that onshore flow is. Those areas in deeper and darker red filling in the Central Valley. And then look at the Bay Area. That is significantly cooling down those temperatures from our coastal communities all the way to the Sierra. That is how impactful and how strong the onshore flow here is in the Bay Area. And that is why we're so used to the foggy conditions and why we're so used to dealing with those cooler conditions as well. But tomorrow afternoon, it's not going to be cool by any means. It's going to be very similar to what we woke up to or what we're going to be seeing today. We'll be seeing those high temperatures sitting in the mid 80s across our inland East Bay communities, low 80s down in the Santa Clara Valley, low 60s to maybe upper 50s. Tomorrow, there is going to be a slightly stronger wind and slightly more of that cloud coverage, which could keep those temperatures a degree or two cooler compared to what we're seeing today. Again, everything is just a degree or two cooler, a degree or two warmer. There's no significant heat ups, no significant cool downs on the way, as again, each and every day we're going to see afternoon sunshine giving way to early morning fog, maybe a little bit of coastal drizzle, afternoon sunshine once again tomorrow, giving way to early morning fog Monday morning, by Monday afternoon, afternoon sunshine. It just sounds like a broken record at this point, but that's just going to be kind of the name of the game. Temperatures might get a degree or two cooler into next week as those winds are going to begin to pick up. A bit more thicker fog and cloud coverage will arrive to our coastal communities, and high temperatures in our inland area is going to be going from the mid to lower 80s to the mid to upper 70s. It's still very seasonable, very normal for this time of year, but either way, very normal, typical June conditions are going to stick around. Kind of what we expect this time of year. If you live along the coast and you want to soak up some sunshine, it doesn't take far. Just head on a little bit farther inland. Back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Zoe. Okay, coming up, a freak show becomes a road show. We'll have that explanation after the break. Well, we closed this morning in Oakland, and the weirdest family you'll ever meet. Here's Sarah Donchie.
If you've walked around parts of Oakland lately, you might have stumbled across this kind of creepy old man outside a trailer, which ordinarily might be a sign to start walking faster. But artist Joe Cunningham wants you to come on in.
Yeah, his name is Cecil. He's our tour manager. He kind of keeps us on the straight and narrow. Keeps the show running.
Cecil is one of several hand-sculpted creations, part of Joe's Freak Family Roadshow, a traveling art exhibit highlighting the quirky and bizarre that has taken the artist on a tour of the United States.
Inspiration. Come up against a lot of fear in other places, which is totally understandable. I'm like someone on the street begging people to enter an enclosed space that they weren't expecting, with like a scary gorilla right at the door. So.
Everything in the trailer is either sculpted or curated by Joe, and all of it is designed to really catch your eye. There is an alien gorilla baby gazing longingly into the bathroom mirror, and an alien with a nicotine problem wasting away in bed.
It's wax. Yeah, this is the alien dad. He is kind of ailing right now. He's drinking a lot of caffeine, eating a lot of Jell-O, and smoking a ton of cigarettes.
All of the tiny little detailed trinkets you see in the trailer, Joe thrifted. And perhaps most impressive of all, she taught herself how to sculpt.
I went to school for painting and drawing, and I was really hypercritical on myself because I felt I should have been better or mastered it more. And with sculpture, I was very lenient and playful, and it just brought the joy of making art back into my life.
Jo based the traveling art on her own family, which, given the gorilla in curlers and the shirtless alien, might sound a little rude until she gives you the backstory.
It's deeply entwined with like my family, and my mom's a primatologist. This is a gorilla. My dad's an alien fanatic, and I'm somewhere in between.
Jo says the message is about feeling like you belong somewhere, even if that place is a smoky trailer full of UFO maps and cigarette butts.
Kelsey and I are talking. I don't know if we'd be offended by that or not, but either way, I'm not offended by the weather, and you shouldn't be either. Mother Nature is really having it out for us when it comes to allowing us to enjoy a beautiful weekend. Low 80s across our inland areas with plenty of sunshine, temperatures a degree or two above average for this time of year. Hey, I'm sure we will all take it. Doesn't matter what outdoor activities you have planned today. Low 70s for areas around the bay. Again, that is very normal for this time of year. You might notice, though, we'll be getting back down into the upper 60s, though, by next week. Low 60s closer to our coastal communities to potentially upper 50s. There will be a slightly cooler weather pattern, but it's only a degree or two cooler than what we've been feeling over the past several days. So, Kelsey, it really kind of depends on what you enjoy doing outdoors. If it's heading to the beach, you might have to deal with a little bit more of that fog. So, kind of depends if you want to enjoy some sunshine, like I know you do.
I might go to the Oakland to the alien gorilla thing.
I mean, you might have to. It looks so interesting. And then walk around, get some good food in Oakland.
I mean, I love a good weird art, exhibit. And that girl's talented.
She is. She's extremely
it's
talented.
It's just like aliens, gorillas.
I'm like, again, but it has to do with her family. So.
I know. If I told my parents my inspiration was them and I was like, it's alien gorillas, I don't know, but maybe they'd like it.
I'm sure they love it. Their parents, they gotta
My parents are supportive,
yes.
so they're like, yeah, awesome. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for watching KPIX News this morning. Do not forget the news continues all day on CBS News Bay Area. We will be back here tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Enjoy your Saturday, everybody.